So I have two options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media, that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator,
and
this
threats
happened
of violence.
after you and
But to
President
say,
Trump
no, no,
were
Dana,
on the debate stage, said
Dana,
that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am, and I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. Aiden Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, they have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
So what you just saw there is a very frustrated J.D. Vance at the fact that Dana Bash is not allowing him to simply lie through his teeth about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, eating people's cats and dogs and other animals from the zoo. And J.D. Vance continually wants to bring up the point that, well, I'm trying to talk about policy and I'm trying to talk about what's happening to the people of Springfield, Ohio. But the thing is that when you are using baseless claims of people eating people's pets as a way to drum up controversy and drum up interest in what you want to talk about, that's called propaganda. That's called lying to the American people. And as you can see here, Dana Bash is having absolutely none of it. And, you know, it's a total baseless lie to say what J.D. Vance is saying about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, and then for him to turn around and act like, oh, you can't accuse me of drumming up violence and inciting hatred towards this group of immigrants when I'm just trying to talk about policy, when In fact, Donald Trump espousing what he said during that debate, that they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, is exactly what has led to this huge uptick in threats against hospitals and schools being evacuated in Springfield, Ohio. That is a direct result of the rhetoric coming from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's campaign towards immigrants, and has nothing to do with the immigration policy that has allowed the immigrants to reside in Springfield, right? If you want to have that conversation, have that conversation. But you don't need to do it with the lying about what the immigrants are actually up to and doing in the town. It's totally, totally despicable for J.D. Vance and Trump to be doing this. And I'm glad that Dana Bash here is not allowing him to get away with it. Now, what you'll see here next is J.D. Vance essentially admitting to making up this whole controversy in the first place to further his political talking points in what is basically a Freudian slip here. Listen to this.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said
we
that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not accurate.
Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it.
If you have somebody you want to tell us about who has proof that somebody ate their cat, of course we want to hear that. We certainly have had no evidence that that is actually something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not accused you of anything. I am quoting the mayor who said, after these bomb threats, federal politicians are negatively spinning our city. They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay? That I'm quoting him, and it seems to be a
Dana,
cause and effect.
Oh, he said it. He said he's creating a story. Vance, I got news for you. Creating interest in a story or diverting interest to a media story through repeating baseless claims that are not fact, that are not reality, that is called perpetrating propaganda. That's what that is. And J.D. Vance can say as many times as he wants, I'm just going off of what my constituents are telling me is happening. And I'm just going off of what I'm seeing other people are saying, what's happening in Springfield, Ohio. What people are saying is happening in Springfield, Ohio in relation to the immigrants that have been living there and what is actually happening in Springfield, Ohio are two vastly different things. And when we look at the sheriff in Springfield, Ohio, when we look at the mayor in Springfield, Ohio, what they're saying, the people in charge of taking care of people in the town, they're saying that these things are not happening. There's no evidence that Haitian immigrants are eating people's pets or stealing pets from the zoo. So yeah, when you are intentionally diverting media attention to a story through claims that are not true, are not based in any reality, that's called perpetrating propaganda. And I'm glad that Dana Bash is pushing back on it here. Now, when it comes to Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and the interview that they did with Dana Bash, you know, this kind of leads to something that Abby Phillips said post-debate on debate night. She said that on Trump basically complaining about the continued fact-checking and, oh, it's a 3-on-1 against me. What she said is that asymmetrical lying will lead to asymmetrical fact-checking. And Harris and Walz are not making up baseless, unfounded stories, so they're not having to be pushed back and fact-checked as much as the right is when it comes to the Springfield, Ohio story. So yeah, JD Vance really does not like facts. He really does not like reality. The right wing in general seem to not like facts and reality. And when it's brought up to them, to their face, they really don't like it. And it can be quite contentious to discuss facts and reality with the right wing in this country. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with somebody who's into politics. It helps YouTube take my channel more seriously and get the message out. All right. Everyone have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.